Hi, this is Glenda, and I'm making soap today. I have here a blend of oils. They are at 96 degrees Fahrenheit, 35 Celsius, and here next to it is the distilled water with light, which is at 74 Fahrenheit and 35 Celsius. And I just went ahead and added the light water solution to the oils, and I'm just going to start just first stirring. I'm using the stick blender, but I don't have the I haven't turned it on yet. I'm using also peppermint fragrance oil. And I almost forgot, but I also wanted to add sodium lactate. So I'm going to add it straight to the mix, 2 teaspoons. Usually I prefer to add this to the light water solution because it's water soluble, so it dissolves easily there. And after a few stirs, I will turn the stick blender on so that I can start reaching emulsion phase. I want the soap batter to stay fairly fluid because I will be doing confetti style soap, so I will be incorporated chopped pieces of a different soap, and I don't want any air pockets. So if it's quite fluid, it should go in to fill all the crevices that the small pieces may create. The peppermint fragrance that I'm using is from Lone Star Candle, and it does not cause any discoloration. And what I do in reality is that I have it on a scale on the side, so I'm adding based on the negative number. So whenever I see that I have taken about 2 ounces out, that's when I stop adding it. So it's a gradual um, adding of the fragrance that way because I did not measure it in a separate container prior. After reaching emulsion and adding the fragrance, I'm going to separate the small portion of this soap batter into actually the container where I had the lye water solution earlier. And then to the rest, I'm going to keep blending to go for light trace. Just a very light trace. And then I'm going to add the soap scraps. Now the soap scraps are scented already because they are left over from another soap, which I will show you now. So they have notes of gray, black, purple, and green, and they were scented with essential oils. The essential oils were lavender, lemongrass, rosemary, just a blend of different ones. So I thought that the peppermint will go well with it. And I wish I would have had peppermint essential oil. I had it, but not second distillation. I only had the regular one. And for soap, I prefer to use, or at least for cold process soap, I prefer to use the second distillation because it's stronger, so it tends to remain strong in the finished soap. And I'm trying to use all of the scraps that I have because I've already had them in this Ziploc bag, and that is to keep them moist for several months, and I don't want to keep them in storage. So I'm going to incorporate as many of them as I can into the soap. If you notice, I did not add any colorants to the soap batter, and that is because this recipe usually creates off-white, fairly light color soap. So I think that should be enough, and then the scraps already have some gray tones, some purple tones, some more lavender tones. So that, I think it should be fine. So I added it to the mold. I did make extra because I'm never 100% sure how much I need when I'm working with scraps, soap scraps, how much I will need in the other soap. But I usually have a cavity mold nearby to pour any of the extra one. In this case, I'm pouring some out of the mold because it is quite full and I still have that portion on the side that I want to add to the top. So essentially, I'm just making room in the main mold for that extra portion of soap. And that is because I'm going to be using some flower embeds, and I want the top of the soap to just have a a solid background color, and I don't want to see too much of the soap scraps on the top, just on the body of the soap, so that the flower embeds can pop out better. Once I thought I was done, that I thought I had removed enough soap, I went ahead and added the uncolored portion, and I did have to use the spatula to keep it from sinking into the bottom of the soap, and it will stay just on top. The first portion did sink a little bit, and this is what it looks like. Now the two soaps that are already on the cavity molds on the right, they're from a previous batch from the same day, but they are a different soap. It's actually one of the gemstone series soaps, the one with agates. It was the leftover of that as well. And actually, this soap that I'm making right now has will have some gemstones because I didn't have enough flowers for all of the bars, so I did use some of the random embeds that I had. Before adding the embeds though, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of gold mica. In this case, I'm actually using Enviro Glitter from Nurture Soap. I'm not really sure how much is going to show gold against white, but just to give it a little bit of shimmer. The embeds, I made them with soap dough or soap clay, which is soft soap, and I use a flower mold that I made with silicone to create them. I'm going to put links in the description box on how I made the molds, or had molds I usually made with silicone, just from the caulking silicone, and also about soap dough in case you haven't heard from it or you haven't worked with it before. It is basically cold processed soap that hasn't been exposed to air, so it hasn't had a chance to get hard and lose water. Therefore, it stays malleable and moldable enough to create embeds with them. Like this peacock feather is also made with soap dough, and I made it using a mold as well. Initially, I just put a flower in the center for each part, and later I thought it looked a little bare, so I added more of the leftover embeds from other projects and also melt and pour pieces. So in the end, this is what it looked like. And later, as I added more things to it, this is what it ended up looking like. This is a few hours later, and the soap had turned opaque by then. Then the next day, it was ready to come out of the mold and be cut, which is what I'm doing now. Here you can tell the color of the soap has whitened without any colorants because of the recipe. If you are curious, I will put a link to the recipe as well in the description box. Most of the ingredients are beef tallow, refined shea butter, coconut oil, and possibly olive oil. I'm not sure, but I will put it on the description box because I do have a couple recipes for this. And because I added mica to the top of the soap, I put it on its side when I was going to cut it so that the mica wouldn't drag across the bar of the soap. Anyway, I'm reaching the end of the video and I thank you for joining me. Hopefully I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.